Science doesn't really just advance. A lot of the time, it rebels. Almost every giant leap forward started as someone pushing back hard against a truth everyone else took for granted. Well, today, we're looking at what might be the next great rebellion, and it all boils down to one single mysterious number.
I mean, history is just littered with these scientific rebels. You had Galileo in the 17th century basically saying, hey everyone, we're not the center of the universe, and getting in a whole lot of trouble for it. Then in the 19th century, Semmelweis was laughed out of the room for suggesting that maybe, just maybe, doctors should wash their hands. And poor Boltzmann, he had to defend the very existence of atoms. These were ideas that went from heresy to, well, the bedrock of what we know. And it's right in that tradition that a new theory from South Korea called the one-parameter solution, or OPS, is planting its flag.
And this is the mindset we're dealing with. This is a core belief from the founders of OPS. It's not a gentle suggestion. It's a gauntlet being thrown down. It's designed to make us question everything we think is settled science. It really sets the stage for a completely radical new way of thinking.
Okay, so what are they rebelling against? What's the established truth they think is ready to collapse? Well, according to OPSOS, the enemy is complexity itself. The argument is that modern science has become this tangled, fragmented mess, so complicated that it's lost sight of the simple, elegant order that's actually running the show.
This slide really breaks down that divide, as the OPS folks see it. On one side, you have their view of conventional science, a world of incredibly complex formulas, a ton of different constants, and all these specialized symbols that, let's be honest, most of us can't understand. It's totally dependent on man-made units like meters and kilograms, and it's split between two big theories, quantum mechanics and relativity, that don't quite play nicely together. But on the other side, well, that's the OPS challenge. It proposes something totally different. A universe ruled by a single, clean numerical order, described by a universal language of patterns, no units needed, a single, unified picture.
So what's their answer to all this complexity? What's the new weapon they're bringing to this fight for unity? It's called, simply, the one-parameter solution. And they believe it's the key that's going to unlock a much simpler, more intuitive way of seeing the entire universe.
And here it is. This is the parameter, the number 137. Now, this number isn't just pulled out of thin air. It's the inverse of a value called the fine structure constant, and it has been driving physicists crazy for a century. They know it's fundamentally important, but nobody knows why it has this exact value. Well, ops theory comes along and says, it's not random at all. This number is the architectural key. It's the frequency of the universe that wires everything together.
So let's get a bit more formal here. What exactly is OPS? It's both a theory and a kind of structural analysis tool coming out of South Korea. The big idea is to interpret, well, everything, the universe, life itself, through one single numerical order and pattern. The key takeaway here is that it wants to leapfrog all the stuff they see as baggage, the complexity, the symbol-heavy math, and the total dependence on units that define science today.
The whole OPS rebellion really stands on four pretty wild pillars. First, get rid of all units. That's right, meters, kilograms, seconds, just set them all to one, and they claim you'll see the true dimensionless order of nature. Second, adopt a universal syntax. Basically, swap out all that complex math for the direct language of numerical patterns, ratios, and symmetry. Third, physical constants aren't just fixed numbers anymore. Think of them as nodes in one big interconnected numerical web. And fourth, and this is a mind-bender, a geometric point isn't a sizeless idea. It's a real, physical thing, the smallest possible unit of structure, what they call a quantized length.
And this isn't just some abstract physics theory either. They're actually pitching it as a practical problem-solving method. The OPS framework. For any problem, find its origin, its conceptual root, then identify its recurring pattern, its rhythm, and finally, complete the full interpretation structure. Proponents say you can apply this to literally anything, from figuring out a business strategy to redesigning an entire education system.
Okay, but this is where the theory takes its biggest, most ambitious, and maybe most controversial leap. We're talking about a proposed numerical bridge between the physical stuff of the universe and the human mind itself.
At the heart of this huge claim is what they call the mind equation. It suggests there's a direct numerical connection between alpha, the constant that runs the tiny quantum world of particles, and lambda, the constant that governs the massive cosmic world of the expanding universe. The theory says these aren't separate, unrelated numbers. They are twin constants that were born from the exact same underlying numerical structure.
So this slide really lays it out. Over here, you've got alpha, the fine structure constant. It's the boss of quantum mechanics, the world of the super small. And way over here, you've got lambda, the cosmological constant, which runs the show for the entire universe's expansion. For 100 years, these two have lived in totally separate houses of physics. OPS comes along and says, nope, they're not just neighbors, they're family, and they share the same numerical DNA.
And just when you think you have a handle on this theory, here's the final twist. This whole thing isn't just an academic exercise. It's being framed as a full-blown national strategy for the future of South Korea.
And this quote from their declaration, wow, it says it all. The ambition here is breathtaking. The goal is to transform South Korea from a nation that has been brilliant at importing and applying Western science into a nation that creates the next scientific framework for the world, to become the standard setter. They call it scientific sovereignty.
And this isn't just talk. There is a concrete 3-stage plan to get there. Stage 1, get OPS literacy into the education system to create what they call thought sovereignty. Stage 2, build a huge R&D center to invent new, source technologies based on these unique interpretations. And finally, Stage 3, create an international platform with the goal of making OPS a new global standard for science. It's an incredibly bold vision to try and redraw the world map of knowledge.
So this brings us back to the big question. What are we really looking at here? Is the one-parameter solution a genuine scientific revolution in the making, ready to take its place alongside the likes of Galileo and Boltzmann? Or is it a kind of modern-day alchemy, a beautiful but unprovable blend of numbers and philosophy that sits outside of mainstream science? The rebellion of 137 has definitely begun, but only time will tell if it actually leads to a new order.